Purpose of pain. Our attempts to hide from pain through social media end up doing the opposite. And what this pain avoidance culture fails to recognize is that even pain itself serves a purpose. Pain is a messenger. It is often a protective measure. It points us towards what needs to change in our lives, in ourselves, and in our relationships. It tells us which habit we need to abandon and which habits we desperately need to adopt. Often, pain demands that we address hidden wounds that need healing. As Geoff Macdonald, professor of psychology at the University of Toronto, put it, pain is really good at disrupting attention and getting you singularly focused on making the bad thing stop. A fascinating review of more than 500 neuroscience studies found that the pain of heartbreak activated the same areas of the brain as physical pain. But just like the physical pain, we often try to ignore and numb the pain of heartbreak. Years ago, I read an article that really struck with me. It was about a man who went to the dentist with severe tooth pain. The doctor told him that he had an infection which was causing his excruciating pain. The dentist prescribed two types of medicine for the patient. One medication was a painkiller to help him manage the throbbing. The other prescription was an antibiotic to treat the infection itself. However, this man could not afford both drugs, so he opted for the first one most of us choose. He chose the painkiller. He successfully numbed his pain, but soon the infection grew and spread to his brain. The man died. What began as a simple, treatable infection ended up killing him. How did this happen and why? The pain he was feeling in his tooth was actually designed to protect him. It was screaming to him that something was wrong inside him and it needed to be treated immediately. The purpose of the pain was to sound an alarm inside of him so he would address the problem and fix it at the root. Instead, he sought to just make the pain go away without addressing the root cause of that pain, and as a result, it killed him. And this is exactly what many of us do with our emotional pain. We don't address the root cause. Instead, we just try to numb it. For the man with the tooth pain, his actual problem was not the pain. His problem was the infection. The pain was only a symptom. So the man was treating the wrong ailment. M. Scott Peck, author of The Road Less Traveled, writes, rather than being the illness, the symptoms are the beginning of its cure. The fact that they are unwanted makes them all the more a phenomena of grace, a gift of God, a message from the unconsciousness, if you will, to initiate self examination and repair. Our pain is like a smoke alarm. We want it to stop, but it serves a purpose. When the smoke alarm goes off, we could simply just take out the batteries. This will give us momentary peace from the noise. But the purpose of the alarm is to let us know that there is a fire in our home. The fire starts out small, but if we ignore the alarm and ignore the actual pain, what began as only a spark can burn our entire house. Many of us suffer for this exact reason. When we feel emotional or psychological pain, we often seek a sedative rather than a cure. Often we just want to take the batteries out of our pain, just make it quiet, make it go away. We look to numb the heart rather than search deeper beyond the surface to find the root cause of it, to find the root cause of the alarm and then addresses it. The inner search requires courage and honesty, and it's hard. It's uncomfortable. So many of us avoid it at any cost. We opt for what is easier. But ironically, this is what leads to our own suffering. Suffering is what happens when we repeatedly ignore the message of our pain. Suffering is what happened to the man only after he ignored the tooth pain and did not address the underlying cause, which was an infection. It is what happens when we muffle the alarm but allow our home to burn down. Sometimes, when we feel empty, we don't realize that our soul is crying out, that our heart is starving for God. Instead, we look to distract ourselves with other things, other people, and other activities. Emotional and psychological pain are as inevitable as physical pain in this life. No matter how much we may love our child, no matter how much we may try to protect them, it is impossible for our child to never fall. to never feel pain, to never cut, scarp, or even break parts of their body. It is an inevitable part of the dunya, worldly life. Similarly, some sadness, fear, loss, grief, and worry is inevitable in this life. Allah says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُم بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. And we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits.
But give good tidings to those who patiently persevere. Al Quran